Hey, Hickok here, and this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world. Well, at least that's what Clint Eastwood said back in the 70s, right? Guess that's not true now so much, but still pretty powerful, and plenty powerful. As powerful as anything I want to shoot very much, and really as powerful as anything anybody can actually control in any practical way and shoot very much. You know, there's lots of guns now that exceed this in caliber, power, energy, the whole 9 yards. But if you put a hot round, a really hot round, in a 44 Magnum handgun, that's about as much as you want to shoot very many rounds of, and I think we all still know that. If you don't know that, if you haven't shot much of anything bigger than a 9mm or a 40 caliber, and you think that one day you've got to have a 500 Smith & Wesson or some 50 caliber handgun, Desert Eagle, in order to get something powerful, you might want to try a 44 Magnum first. Okay, just a little clue. You might even want to try a 357 with some hot rounds in it in about a 4-inch barrel and see how that feels to you. All right. Well, I know that people seem to like the close-ups of firearms, and I probably should do more of those. If you look at the threads on some of the gun forums, the many shooting forums, you know, people are always begging for pictures, close-up pictures of various guns that people have purchased recently, even if it's a Glock 19, something that everybody knows what it looks like, but we just like pictures of guns if we're shooters, and we like to see the close-ups. So, and I've noticed that the couple of close-ups I've done seem to get a lot of views. So I think people just enjoy looking at those guns close up. Maybe they have them, maybe they don't. It does give you a good idea what the gun looks like. It's hard to tell in a lot of videos what the actual gun looks like in detail. Well, this is a 44 Magnum. It's a 3-inch barrel. Really nice configuration, I think. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I favor short barrels on a lot of guns, and this is no exception. Now, I do have the one that I did a video on with the 8 3/8-inch barrel, and that's my baby, but pretty big gun, isn't it? This is about as small as you can get in a 44 Magnum, at least in a Smith & Wesson, and I guess in any gun, and still have everything you need and in a fairly shootable package. Nothing to sneeze at with a 3-inch barrel. Notice those big cylinders are empty, big chambers are empty. Okay, this is a Smith & Wesson. It's a model 629. It's a -4 model, if that means anything to some of you. But you know, Smith & Wesson, as they make changes through the years, they put another digit after the dash, and that kind of tells us all what that gun's going to have. If you know that, I have to look at the chart. I don't really know what some of the dashes mean, but this is a -4. If you get one without a dash, of course, at all, like my other one, my blue one, the long-barreled one, and it's early 70s. Now this one, as you can see, if you know Smiths very well, it does not have the pinned and recessed barrel. There's no pin there, and the chambers are not recessed. I said barrel, I meant chambers being recessed. It does not have the recessed chambers. Other than that, it really does harken back pretty much to the I guess the 60s and 70s models. You know, the firing pin is on the hammer, as you can see, whereas now they mount the firing pin on the frame. And the cylinder release here, you know, looks like an early 70s or a 60s model, doesn't it? And so pretty much that's the configuration. 3-inch, this is a really nice little piece. You notice the contour, the beveling in the front of the cylinder. The finish on it, it almost looks nickel. It's not. It's probably getting some glare on it from the sun, but it's actually stainless steel, highly polished. This is one of the nicest 3-inch 44s that I've seen and that I've owned. I have the Trail Boss, kind of the same configuration, nice gun, not quite as pretty, and doesn't have quite the finish, and it's a more modern version. It does not have the key lock either. As you notice, this one does not have the key lock, of course, but it doesn't have I don't think the cylinder's as beveled as this one, and it doesn't have quite the finish this one has. So, also something in these guns I really like, and that is a non-ported barrel. Some of them have a ported barrel. I have little use for porting on just about any gun. So 3-inch 44 Magnum. Now this gun to me is a really nice gun if you're traveling in the mountains where there might be some brown bear or other large varmints. You're not really hunting perhaps, but say it's legal to pack something for your own security, and maybe it's inconvenient to carry a guide gun 4570 or whatever. This would be a very powerful small package, especially with some very heavy hot rounds in it, like some Garrett cartridges. I even load some 300 grain bullets myself. It's going to kick, of course, but I don't think you'll care if a bear is about to eat you. Of course, you could just sing to the bear, talk to it really nicely, and maybe he'd leave you alone. So whichever security method you prefer on that. But they make a gun, Smith does, called the mountain gun. Many of you are familiar with that. It has a 4-inch barrel, and it has the barrel is this same thickness, I guess, at the frame, and then it contours down into a pretty thin barrel pretty quickly, and it's a 4-incher, and they call that their mountain gun. And for the reasons I just talked about, it's about as light as you can get in a really powerful gun. Now, I've had those, but for my purposes, I really prefer this. I think this is the ultimate mountain gun. I think the 3-inch barrel in a thicker barrel all the way out and a shorter barrel is my preferred configuration. So to me, this is the ultimate Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum mountain gun. I don't give up any ability to hit a target just because it's an inch shorter, and it's a little handier. Okay? And you ought to see this thing with some big 300 grain bullets. Those Garretts I have are 310 grain flat-nosed, and boy, they come right to the front of that cylinder. If they were an eighth of an inch longer, that cylinder wouldn't turn. They'd be rubbing on the forcing cone. So it's a dynamite looking package with those in it. And it's dynamite from the rear end when you pull the trigger too. But they're very shootable. So, Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum. 44 Magnum is probably one of the, there's almost a cult following of 44 Magnum among 44 Magnum shooters. It's just a very popular cartridge. It's one I've shot tens of thousands of rounds through in other guns. I haven't shot this one all that many times, but very popular round. We all know that. One of the beauties of it is you can also fire 44 specials in this gun, in any 44 Magnum handgun that I'm aware of. I don't know about the Desert Eagle, if it'll function, specials or not, but the revolvers you can put specials in, which I'll do here. I'm actually going to shoot the thing. This is not just a show and tell. I might as well start with some of the big boys now. These are 44 Magnum rounds, jacketed hollow points. All right, so let's put some of these in here and see if I can take a couple of shots, keep from hitting the camera with recoil. Whoops, I'm sure the sound will go away for a while since I'm right in the face of the camera. So here we go. Now, as you know, you can fire these double action or single. With a hot round, I really prefer to go ahead and cock the hammer. It doesn't hurt your hand as much. Maybe you can get an idea of the difference in the recoil. Maybe we can sight it right down the camera lens. Maybe you can do the sighting. I should have put a target out there. Let the viewers decide whether the sights are on or not. Click. I was anticipating that, wasn't I? Okay. Well, might as well do all this in front of the camera if I can. A little more awkward. Okay. Empty cases. All right. So, yeah, I kicked a little bit, but again, my hand's okay. Didn't hurt. I have no stinging. Boom. It does a nice job. And it's accurate for a 3-inch barrel. And if you haven't learned anything else from my videos, if you've seen my videos, I hope it is that a short barrel can be just about as accurate as a long barrel. if you can hold her steady. Okay. So let me fish around my pocket here. Well, before I do that, let me show you what a lot of people carry. If they carry one of these or have one of these in their house for home defense, they generally will have some of these, well, not always, but these 200 grain 44 special gold dot hollow points. You know, that's kind of the one of the preferred 44 defensive rounds. I know people that actually carry those, that actually carry one of these things, you know, with their handgun carry permit. Big gun to carry, isn't it? Heavy. Makes you appreciate a Glock. That's for sure. Let me fish around my other pocket. Yeah. Now here you see some 44 specials that I load. Okay. Now it's hard to find 44 specials for a decent price, of course, if you don't hand load them. There are certain calibers, 45 Colt, 44 special, 10 millimeter, a lot of these rounds that are very, very expensive if you just go to buy a box of them, generally speaking. Whereas if you hand load them, they're just like anything else that you hand load. They're not free, but they're not any more expensive than a 44 Magnum or a 45 ACP, you know, or anything else. Now these don't kick quite as much, and they're fun to shoot. This is a great little target gun. See, I'm firing this double action now. This has almost the same energy as a 45 ACP. This 45 special does. See, you can go ahead and fire that one pretty rapidly if you want to. And 44 special rather. Okay. So very versatile little gun. A lot of people would look at a gun like this and say, wow, who wants to fire a gun that small, that powerful? That would just be nothing but pain. Pain and misery is all they can think about when they see something like that. Well, actually, even the 44 mag's not that bad, and 44 special is really nice in it. In fact, I have had 44 special revolvers that I've traded off. I had an old triple lock. I had the Thunder Ranch Smith & Wesson, you know, that was endorsed by Clint Smith. Nice gun, but you know, it was built like a 44 Magnum, built on the same frame, same cylinder and everything. It had a 4-inch barrel, so it was essentially the 44 Magnum mountain gun with the cylinder reamed out to chamber only 44 special. So, you know, with this gun, I have actually the smaller barrel I talked about before, shorter barrel, a little more convenient package, same weight probably, very, very close, and I have 44 Magnum capability or 44 special capability, either one. So the Thunder Ranch is a really nice gun. I mean, it was a tack driver. I really liked it. And I sold it to a friend of mine who just really dearly loves it. But to me, this gun's more versatile. Same package as a Thunder Ranch in my eyes, but yet more versatile. It'll handle really powerful rounds, or you can just shoot 44 specials in it all day long. Yeah, nice gun. Anything else about that gun that I can tell you about? It's an older Smith & Wesson. You know, it doesn't have the key lock, has a hammer-mounted firing pin, shoots really well, kicks a little bit, but it really doesn't hurt you. Okay, so a good look at it there as we fade away into oblivion here, and it's a lot of fun to shoot. So there's my close-up on the little 3-inch 44 mag. I will do another video with these little 3-inch 44s where we work them out on the range, but I know close-up sometimes it's just fun to see. So bye-bye from Smith & Wesson and Hickok 45.